Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of my channel, Glimpse of Horror. This is the story of four adventurous friends, David, Joseph, Steve, and Andrew, who planned a trip to Venezuela. They booked a beautiful remote Airbnb house for their stay during their trip. Joseph rented a big, beautiful Airbnb house located in a dense and green forest. They were excited as they got a big house with separate rooms. Steve, David, Joseph, and Andrew liked the place. They already had dinner and were now drinking coffee while watching a movie when Joseph took off from his friends and came to his room as he wanted to sleep early. Joseph first went to the washroom. While he was washing his hands, the bulb broke, and now the whole bathroom was dark. Joseph could not see anything. He was standing in the dark because he did not know any directions. Joseph barely opened the door. On the way out, he felt a shadow staring at him. Joseph's heartbeat was increasing, and he started hearing some voices that were coming from the washroom. Joseph got scared and lost his consciousness. On the other hand, Steve, David, and Andrew casually went outside to inspect the lawn. They were all thinking that it would be a perfect place for a bonfire. When they were discussing this idea, a piece of hard wood fell on Steve, hitting his head. His head started bleeding. They all simultaneously saw the direction from where it fell. Well, the wood fell from an old tree, which was quite far from them. They got scared a bit and went inside. Andrew gave first aid to Steve. David was concerned about Joseph. He went inside Joseph's room and said, "Hey, Joseph, can you hear me? Steve is injured. We have to go to the doctor. Joseph? Joseph?" David tried to wake Joseph up, but he didn't wake up, although he was breathing. David picked Joseph up in his arms and took him out. Both Joseph and Steve were feeling better after getting treatment from the hospital. While entering their Airbnb house, they were all horrified by their strange experiences within the next few hours. "I think we should sleep in the same room," said David, who was extremely terrified after seeing Steve and Joseph in this condition. "Yes, you are right, because I have experienced something scary. After using the washroom, I heard the loud screams of a man and a woman who were begging someone for their lives, but he wanted to kill them. After that, I passed out," said Joseph in a terrified tone. They agreed to stay in one room. Now, they were all lying down and staring at the ceiling when they started hearing the screams of a man and a woman. "These are the voices I heard." Joseph spoke in a terrified tone. "I don't think this place is safe," said Andrew. "We should call the police. Otherwise, something bad will happen to us," said David, and he called the police. They were waiting for the police when suddenly the windows and doors started banging with the pressure of the air, which scared Steve and Joseph. Finally, when the police arrived at their house, David told them all the details. The police started looking into all the rooms. They didn't find anything in them, but at the end, they found a small storeroom. They entered the storeroom. It was a stinking room. There were two dead bodies, one of a woman and one of a man. Both were packed in the same bag. The police seized these two dead bodies and asked David and his friends to leave this Airbnb house as soon as possible. Upon investigation, police learned that Camilla was killed by her husband James and her boyfriend Martin. James was the Airbnb house's owner, who was currently on vacation. James killed them when Camilla decided to leave him. It was the most horrible experience of their lives. They left the haunted Airbnb house, and the police started their search for James. Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of my channel, Glimpse of Horror. This is the story of Zach, who rented his house through Airbnb to Spencer, who came to spend vacation near a beautiful beach in the far-flung town. Zach handed over the house to Spencer, who was happy to get such a big, comfortable, cozy, and clean house for a reasonable rent. One day, Zach left for Miami to meet his girlfriend for an unlimited period of time. Spencer was alone in the house. He started living like an owner. It had been months since Spencer was living in the house for free because neither Zach nor he contacted him. Zach also began to invite his friends and girlfriends to parties. After 6 months, Zach came back. He was not in very good condition because he was kidnapped in Miami. He had terrible experience with kidnappers. Zach needed money, so he asked Spencer to pay previous rents. Spencer got angry. He didn't want to pay him rent. Zach gave him final notice to leave the house. Spencer threatened Zach and came back to his portion. Zach was now worried about his property, and he decided to take legal action against the old man. This man will become a headache. Zach was planning to meet his lawyers when he heard a screaming loud voice. It was Spencer. Zach ran down the stairs and saw Spencer, who was lying on the ground. He was holding his neck like he was trying to save himself from an invisible power. "Help! Help! Let go of me!" he shouted. Zach was continuously seeing Spencer, who was being beaten up by an unseen spirit. It was a strange occurrence for Zach, as he had never experienced such a thing in his house. It was clear that no evil spirits ever existed in his house. Spencer got unconscious. Although it was a good opportunity for Zach to throw Spencer outside his Airbnb house, he didn't do this. He rather took him to the nearby clinic. After regaining consciousness, Spencer told Zach that he had been experiencing some unusual activities in the room. Spencer told him that he would see the shadow of a man who used his room's doors and windows, but he ignored it as he didn't want to leave the house. Also, the shadow never tried to harm him. Zach and Spencer came back to the house. Spencer was afraid to go to the room to pick up his stuff, but he went there. Upon reaching his room, he saw the white shadow sitting in his windows and staring at him. It was the first time he was looking into Spencer's eyes. He ran towards Zach. "I will leave this house. Just bring my stuff," Spencer said to Zach. Zach got worried. He called a spiritual person to get his house checked because he himself was afraid to go to Spencer's room, who cleared all his bills and was ready to check out. Soon after checking the house, the spiritual person told Zach that a pious priest's spirit has been roaming in this house for years. The spirit is related to Zach, so Zach's presence doesn't irritate him, but he can't bear someone else, especially if he is into drugs, alcohol, and parties. He made him visible because he wanted the tenant out. Spencer was already scared. He left the house. Zach realized that the room he gave to Spencer belonged to his grandfather, and when his Airbnb guest refused to leave, his supernatural presence taught him a lesson that almost tried to take his life.